What is going on, everybody? This is SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the PSN Party Podcast. I am joined by my co-host, the Jim Ryan loving, baby kissing, poem writing, phenomenal as always, BMG. How are you, BMG?
Good evening.
And we are joined. Go ahead.
I picked the avatar just for the for the PlayStation show.
It's fitting. It works. Very nice. We're joined by Triple Combo Gaming and Fuzzy Belvedere. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this podcast. We greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely appreciate the invite.
And to start off our podcast, we ask the other panel members and our guests what they've been playing this week. So, Triple, I'll come to you. What have you been playing this week?
I'm trying to think. Been playing Destiny since the new season of Deep Drop, but also went back to playing Borderlands 3 because my brother expressed interest in playing it and has ignored me since, actually. So it's just me and my friend replaying the campaign. I'm trying to, if anyone's familiar with Moze, the mech class, I'm trying her out. My first playthrough was with Flax. I just want to try something different. And
nice.
Yeah, that's about it so far for this week. This looter shooter.
Nice. You know, if you get BMG started on Destiny, he'll never be quiet because he loves Destiny.
I spend too much time in Destiny.
Yep, that's like one of his mains. He loves Destiny 2. Plays it all the time. He runs our Destiny podcast. So
I might have to slide in on there at some point. I put, unfortunately, too much time into Destiny 2 to where I'm just like, man, my backlog is just crazy now because I put more hours in that than I should. But yeah.
Yeah, I completely get it. Destiny 2, they're always updating, their content. So just like Halo Infinite draws a lot of people in.
Mm-hmm.
But
definitely.
Fuzzy, what have you been playing this week?
A lot of everything. Pretty much just started a little bit of Planet Lana the other day, but I've been always falling back to my usual rotation of games. Division 2. Didn't check out the update that they've done today, but did the Golden Bullet event that they had starting last week and finished up the what do you call them, the leagues, Trinity leagues or something like that they had, and then did a little bit of Forza Horizon 5 as well as a little bit of GT7. Posted some clips of the GT7 races. Decided to put my the AI and my screen name or gamer tag over the cars because I don't know. It seems like I guess that draws more attention or something like that. But I'm having fun with that, and then just looking forward to the countdown for Diablo. That's the main one that I'm kind of biting at the bit for because I think I'm gonna finally replace my Division 2 gaming loop. So we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, and according to everything we've seen, Diablo 4 is doing really well with the critics. Everybody's loving it. So outstanding. Very nice.
The beta was pretty good. So for anybody that tried out the beta, I would say if you enjoyed it, definitely pre-order or at least hop in there by June 6th.
Yeah. Cool. BMG, what have you been playing?
Same as Triple Combo Gaming, Destiny, the best live service FPS game on the planet. Just again, starting that season of the Deep. I think I got to rank 19 in the season pass. Really enjoying it. Some bit more fun. I mean, I like it a bit more than Season of the Defiant because I did not like Defiant Battlegrounds that you had to do repeatedly. I kind of like the ones they've introduced now, which is the salvage ones, which is more fun. And I just started Star Trek Resurgence, but I'm not very far into that at this moment. But hopefully, I'll have more on that by Thursday's show.
Nice.
That's about it for me.
As far
and Marvel Snap
and Marvel Snap. Once you go Marvel, there is no rival. Yep. Yep. Every single week it's the same. Destiny and Marvel Snap every single week. But that's cool. That's all good. Everybody has their favorites. It's all good.
I actually forgot one more thing that I went back into playing Resistance 2 all the way back on the PS3.
Nice.
At some point. So
Nice.
Try to get through the trilogy since I've been asking Insomniac to remake it, but here we are.
Right. For those of you that don't know, I believe Resistance 2 was the first Resistance game to offer trophies. Am I correct?
I think so. I think, the first one was missing out because I played through that one recently as well, so pretty sure.
Yeah, because I remember when I was playing through on the PS3, because I went back and played Resistance afterwards, like after I'd already had a PS4, and I was surprised that it didn't have, trophies. I was like, wow. But then, that was like a new feature they implemented during the PS3, Xbox 360 generation, so not all games would have it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one of those franchises I definitely think they should bring back. As far as myself, I haven't been playing too much, really. I play a lot of Tropico 6 on PlayStation. I've been checking out different games on their PS Plus. I did download Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I just haven't dove into it yet, so I'm planning on doing it this week. And then, of course, I'm always playing Halo Infinite, so,
How is that lately?
It's not bad. It's actually pretty decent. They are always giving it new content, so I know 343 dropped the ball a little bit, but they are really working hard to make it up to people. So it is a better experience now than it was even a year ago. So it's worth checking out if you haven't checked it out yet. And it's kind of like I feel like if they would have stuck with Killzone and really, I feel like if PlayStation would have invested in Killzone and really backed it up the way Xbox is stuck behind Halo Infinite, that Killzone would have been close to a rival of Halo, because Killzone had the good bones in place. It needed that TLC that PlayStation at the time just didn't want to give it. It's unfortunate.
Stuck behind Halo. Didn't they cancel all the story expansions?
Yes.
I'm
If
trying to
that's
think.
support, then.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the franchise itself was getting support, but Infinite specifically had some troubled waters, to say the least. Get out there.
Definitely. Well, we were talking about, I think we mentioned Insomniac, right? With how much Insomniac puts into their games and stuff. That could lead us into our first topic, I suppose. Spider-Man 2, they revealed a new character, Kraven the Hunter. Triple Combo Gaming, what did you think of that when you saw that?
So, a part of me feels as though that was already sort of rumored that he would be in the game, but seeing the roster of villains expanded, it's always great to say. Now, I will admit, and someone will probably throw tomatoes at me, when it comes to Spider-Man, like the comics and everything such as that, I'm not too in depth with them. I watched like the animated shows, but not really dove deep into the comics. So I can't really speak to this character in particular. But again, in terms of expanding the roster, because playing the 2018 and seeing all the villains there, now we had Kraven, and seeing a little snippet of gameplay that we did get with Spider-Man 2, I'm just really curious to see how this is going to play out. And just early impressions right now is the gameplay, how much of gameplay, like 7-10 minutes of gameplay, look really phenomenal. So super excited to see more on it. And when we finally get a release date, that'd be awesome too.
Definitely agree. Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on Kraven the Hunter? Are you a big Spider-Man guy, or is it kind of something you're not familiar with?
As far as from the comics, I'm not as familiar with, but played 2018 and Miles Morales, so much like Triple was saying, like that we have more villains, shown that are going to be in the game, but was really more so looking at the symbiote suit for Spider-Man. I think that was the thing that grabbed more of my attention. But that early part of the intro into the trailer for Spider-Man 2 was pretty cool, as far as having somebody that you're going to have to contend with and outrun his crew and equipment and stuff like that. So it should make for an interesting, I wouldn't say not cutscenes, but like your highlights or your showpiece moments and things like that.
Yeah. BMG, are you a big Spider-Man? Well, never mind. I know you're a big Spider-Man 2 fan, but is Kraven the Hunter someone you were aware of before this trailer? Like, did you read the comics? Were you aware of him existing in the comics before they showed him in the trailer? And what do you think of him being in the game?
Yeah, he's quite a well-known character across the TV shows. He's in the cartoon, and in the lore and the comics. We actually heard his voice. If you remember the first teaser we got, was it last year or year before? I think it was last year. But the voice you hear first is actually Kraven that's speaking before Venom. So we knew. I saw Kraven the way he was talking, trying to find a worthy foe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good character. He's not. I wouldn't have put him personally. I wouldn't have gone this route with him in for this story. I wouldn't put him as a main character. But obviously, there's the chance that it's just a subplot that we're seeing. We don't actually know as of yet. We think the main focus is going to be Venom. But yeah, it was nice to actually see their take on him. Better than what they show in the comics. I can't deny that. It's definitely a better take on him. A bit of a different story. I was on Stubbs gaming conversation with friends last night, and my comments on there was they spoiled the game a bit by showing off the symbiote suit. I'd rather that been saved for a surprise, showing us something a bit different. I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
They wanted to show something a bit different than just Spider-Man and everyone go, oh, it's just Spider-Man. But I'd rather they had withheld that us to discover in game. But it's an awesome character. Not the route I would have gone. This is where I would have introduced Green Goblin as the main enemy in the game. But it's all good. Still a day one buy for me.
I feel like with Spider-Man, they kind of were like, you know what, we have to put some stuff in this, really entice people, even more people than are already interested, because of a rumor that we've been hearing that the PlayStation Showcase announcements and trailers were reportedly withheld. Give me just a second, I'm going to dive into this. Because I know we've heard about this on Twitter, obviously, and, you could say take it with a grain of salt because it's two reliable insiders, but I mean, some of these insiders have been proven wrong before. They've suggested that Sony has withheld some announcements from May 2023's PlayStation Showcase. Much has been written about the fans' disappointment, as well as Sony's first-party showings being in the doldrums, whatever that means. But apparently, the company had some trailers and announcements ready that were surprisingly missing from Wednesday's event. Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson claims to have seen trailers and stuff that he was expecting at this month's event, so their absence came as a big surprise to him. It's understood that a lot of the games we were waiting on seeing are pretty much ready, so I'm not sure why Sony decided to wait this time around. Another known insider, the Snitch, who happens to have a near-flawless track record, also expressed their surprise over the missing announcements. Guys, I know some announcements that were not announced during the showcase. They wrote on their Discord server. It's super weird. Triple Combo, what do you think about these rumors that content was withheld from PlayStation? Do you think that there's some credibility to that, or do you think that's just damage control?
I'll go the route of they have, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number, but they have plenty of other studios aside from Firewalk, Haven, and Bungie, as well as Insomnia. So I'm sure they had something withheld or they have something else to show. But it comes down to me just wondering, why would they not show them? And regardless of if it's true or not, it's just you have the showcase, the PlayStation Showcase, and you just decided to just not show the rest of your studio. And it could be for your studio talent and their lineup. It could be, I don't know. I think I was listening to Sacred Symbols, and they're saying that maybe they just had some type of show going on for third-party investors. So this was probably more of a show put on for them than versus their own first party. But I don't know. It's like I said, whether or not it's true or not, they have so many studios in the back, so of course they could have something. But I just keep asking them, why wouldn't you show at least a little bit more? You don't have to show everyone and all the games that you're talking about, but at least more than 3-4 first party that we did get shown. Yeah, that would have been great. But I don't know. And when it comes to rumors, it kind of just comes down to I'll believe it when I see it. But this one in particular, like I said, it's not too far-fetched given how many games I'm sure they still have in development. And yeah, it's just a lot of questions.
And Fuzzy, what are your thoughts about these rumors? Do you think there's any credibility to them? Do you think they actually withheld stuff?
Uh, it all depends. Like the way I look at it is, if it's not the first party stuff that people have seen, and I've seen a couple of those things as well. I'm wondering if it was another Bungie assassination kind of thing on those, and why they didn't show them. One of them that I did see a while ago, I could see Bungie, kind of, putting a kibosh on it to some extent. But as far as anything first party related, I mean, they haven't had a showcase, a major showcase, not a state of play, but a major showcase in 2 years. So now is not the time to like hold back, especially if they're going to show Spider-Man 2, which is going to be probably in the state of play as we get close to what, like September, October range. Figuring it's probably going to release in September. So you got that for a state of play. If anything, if it wasn't for that, I mean, they didn't really show much as far as Concord. Still not quite sure what that is beyond what the website says, really being like a PvP shooter kind of thing. But that CGI trailer definitely didn't really give any inkling of the style. Now, as far as for fair games, at least that one, the CGI trailer gives you kind of like an overall look and everything as far as what to expect. And the same thing with Marathon. But I mean, we know that there was the whole Horizon games as a service thing. They got kind of leaked earlier,
Yeah.
and it had some backlash because it had kind of a Fortnite aesthetic to it that a lot of people weren't, I guess, expecting. So I'm wondering if that may have been one that was on the chopping block, either by Bungie or just from the feedback of the community. Factions, we've already heard from Schreier as far as the Bungie, sniping that they did with that one. But
Yeah.
I don't. One thing I've learned over the years, regardless of how reputable a insiders had, what their record is like, almost 90% of them are incorrect when it comes to PlayStation. Like, things leak for Xbox showcases and they get stuff right, let's say more than 60% of the time, but with PlayStation, it's like maybe they'll get it right 2% of the time. So I don't know whether to believe it or not. I'm kind of like with Triple. I'd rather wait and believe it when I see it, kind of thing. Because sure enough, we didn't see the PS5 Slim or even the PS5 Pro. So
yeah,
something it is.
Something I think maybe lending some credibility to these is how Jez Corden, who isn't even a PlayStation guy, he's an Xbox guy, and he had said that he saw some of this and he was super excited. So I kind of feel like people saw a different version than what we originally got.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to wonder the reasons for them doing this. BMG, you're a big-time PlayStation guy. Any thoughts?
I do believe the stuff that was meant to be shown wasn't shown. You've got all these studios working on numerous projects. You can't tell me literally 95% of them had nothing to show. And I do sort of believe the some of the insiders were not. They were more shocked. It's like, well, we've seen other stuff that was meant to be there that wasn't there. We've heard the rumors. There's going to be another PlayStation event later in the year, whether that be through State of Plays or another showcase. But when you've gone this long without an actual showcase and you've been quiet for so long, it's like, why aren't we seeing what these things are working on? And the stuff we saw from PlayStation Studios was CGI, apart from Spider-Man, which I think was always going to be shown because we are under, from what Tony Todd, the actor who's playing Venom in the game, sort of said, they were ramping up in August for a release in September. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. Or we know it's a full game. But we didn't get any solid release dates for the other first-party games. And we got a lot of third-party. And we sort of said, me and Ash did a live stream, the showcase, and we sort of gave it 2 scores. As a showcase, a PlayStation showcase, we gave it a 5 because we was expecting more from the PlayStation studios with what they had. But from what they showed and the games that were there that were really, really good, and, amazing to see, we gave it an 8. It was just, I just think they could have done better. They could have shown better. I didn't need the hardware stuff. That could have been dropped in a blog post. That time space could have been used with other games. I don't think we needed that. Unless it's like a major console release, or like say if it was going to be the PlayStation Pro, which I would have probably said we would have seen in a state of play, like we did with the PlayStation 5 was in a state of play.
Yeah.
Was it state of play or was it showcase? Don't quote me on that.
I thought it was a showcase.
It was a
showcase.
It wasn't a tech showcase, though.
It was the intro of everything to launch with PS5 within
that's
the
right. That's
first
right.
year. Or
oh yeah, it was. Yeah. And we got a lot of good stuff there. I thought the VR showing was a little bit poor. They could have done a bit more with that. But it's just one of them. And it's only my personal expectations from previous showcases. They come out and show, because we still don't really know what the future roadmap of PlayStation is. We know at some point Haven's games come in, Marathon, and that's a lot of people excited for that. But that's just their old IP they worked on way before Halo back in the 90s. Come back with looking more modern, so it's not even a brand new IP they worked on. It's a game they already own the IP to, and they've just brought back. Got the tease of the final shape, but literally it was just a tease to tell us to tune back in August. But it was nice to see Cade back. Yeah, but it was PlayStation personally that saved thing that came out of that show for me.
It feels like they had two different shows. It feels like they had one that was originally planned and one that they said, hey, this will be the minimum that we show, and that's what we got. Because with The Last of Us TV show, PlayStation was all proud about it and they were showing it off. This showcase was in May. There is a complete series on Peacock of Twisted Metal starring Anthony Mackie, who everybody knows him from his Marvel roles, as well as other roles that he's been in. He's a great actor. So Peacock has him as like the lead for this Twisted Metal series. And it's coming out next month. And it is a PlayStation-owned intellectual property, and they didn't say anything about it. They didn't say anything about it. And me and BMG we've had heated discussions before about why sell The Last of Us remake when you can buy the PS4 remaster. But if you see the remake, obviously it's much higher quality, and it's like it's the better end product, and it ties in with them having the HBO TV series The Last of Us. They sold so many copies of it. It makes perfect business sense. And the one thing you can't really say about Jim Ryan is that he's not a good businessman, because he is. He knows business. Having Twisted Metal as a TV series would tie in perfectly with the Twisted Metal reboot. That was my big prediction, and it didn't show up. So I feel like there's a lot that all these insiders were like, hey, it's going to blow your mind. And if they would have shown it, it would have blown people's minds. But for whatever reason, they decided not to. And what we got has a whole bunch of people, especially the people that are PlayStation-only gamers. It had them pissed. It had them completely beside themselves, because it's like, I play both PlayStation and Xbox, so I'm looking forward to products and services from both brands. And what I saw from PlayStation was very minimal, very lackluster. It was just extremely disappointing. And I think for people that game only on PlayStation, this was like a super slap in the face, because it's been how long since they had a PlayStation showcase? It's been over a year, like a year and a half, right? And to have this where everyone who has insider knowledge is saying, hey, it's going to be great, it's going to be phenomenal, and then it turns out like this. I just feel like they had two completely different video packages ready to go, and they chose the lesser of the two for whatever reason. That's what it feels like to me. It's just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Yeah, definitely. If that is the case, I really do have to wonder, like, why withheld or hold back on what your studios at the show, because as like the showcase itself was okay if we're talking about as a game showcase, Like it was a pretty decent showcase in terms of the number of games they showed, and some of them were interesting. But when it came to the first party lineup, that's where it was severely lacking. And everyone was saying, it's just like trying to figure out why exactly would you hold back on those games. Now we understand with factions, for example, with the information coming out that there's some issues going on with the development. I can understand that, but there's got to be a lot more other projects that they could have showcased. But just questions.
I had like a little list of what I expected to see at the showcase. Spider-Man 2 was like the obvious one. Kind of expected to see, even if it's just a small, like 2-minute viewing of like Ghost of Tsushima 2, like maybe he's in Mongolia now at this point, fighting on their turf type of deal. Expected factions, but like you said, news coming out that kind of explains on that. Pragmata, which is another one that they have like a marketing deal. It's kind of been silent from Capcom for a while now, so not quite sure what's going on with that. Now they showed the Gran Turismo movie, and I kind of expected that was going to be there.
Yeah,
but I was also expecting like an announcement like Gran Turismo is coming to PC, or maybe some of the cars that appear in the movie or the driver suits that appear in the movie are going to be in the game. So, hey, download these today and whatnot. So that kind of boggles my mind why they didn't capitalize on that. No, just show the movie trailer and not tie it into the game that could use some more updates. I mean, the Horizon games
I
as
agree.
a service.
You're exactly right. It makes sense for them to include that type of stuff in the showcase. And the fact that they didn't, I don't know. I have no words,
And I expected Twisted Metal to be there because we've heard rumors of a reboot, so it would have tied in perfectly with the show, like you said.
Yeah.
I was probably one of the few people that was expecting Marathon to be there because I heard rumors of that early on. I think Bungie with Matter is their next project after Destiny. I think they're going to wait until Destiny is complete and closed.
I think I was listening to Iron Lords, and I think Colin, he was a guest, Colin from Sacred Symbol. He said Matter is Marathon. Matter was like the project name, but Marathon's actual release title. So
I'm going to disagree with him.
Yeah,
I know it's different. They're two different things. Marathon was like what BMG said, Marathon was the game for Mac. Like what they did before Halo when they were, in bed with Apple. That's what Marathon is. And that was always going to be the reboot PvP extraction shooter. Matter is from what they said early on, unless something is seriously changed, Matter is supposed to be more of a lighthearted, not really fantasy kind of thing, but it's not going to be as serious of a shooter. It's supposed to be maybe a little bit more story driven, a little bit more cinematic style, but it's not geared to be like a PvP shooter. In fact, I don't even think PvP is supposed to be in Matter from what the early writings were on that. And I also kind of expected Death Stranding 2 to be there, but then I guess if Death Stranding 2 is going to make an appearance, it probably makes more sense at Summer Games Fest because of Keighley, him being buddies with Kojima.
Yeah.
But also from a PSVR standpoint, I was expecting something for like an Astrobot. Like I would totally expect, like, how they have what's that game, Fall Guys. I would not to say to make a knockoff, but have Astrobot as like a BR or like a battle royale in the vein of Fall Guys, but where it's VR. I could totally see them pulling that off. That could be a games as a service that would probably have legs far beyond what we expect. And then there's another VR game that I know the dev was supposed to, or it is going to announce that it's coming to PSVR, and that's Geronimo from Dark Matter Studios. It's kind of like basically think of like Navy SEALs VR game, basically. But hopefully these insiders are right about the stuff being withheld. Maybe we see it at the State of Play. Who knows? But kind of a weird pick for this showcase.
And you mentioned about the VR, and it's come out that the VR has done poorly as far as what they were expecting. And you would think that they would want to bring VR content to this that would help to bolster those numbers, because this would be the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They showed it like closer towards the end, if I recall correctly. So kind of just having it front and center at first, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the rumors about like Half-Life Alyx coming, and that if they could seal that deal with Valve, that would be the go-to, because if you're trying to play that on PC, you're talking 1,300 at minimum, at the absolute minimum, that you have to get into that ecosystem to be able to play that game. So bringing it to PlayStation would definitely be a easier entry point for a lot of people, and it's a highly regarded game in VR. So
Yeah.
I kind of expect at some point that they drop that announcement. This would have been probably the perfect setting to do it, but I don't know. I don't want to besmirch Jim Ryan, especially with BMG having that user pick right now. He's a great businessman, but it just, I don't know. I think maybe this was the test to see how people would take to the games as a service, because they do have, what is it, 10 or 12 games in the works.
Yeah.
So maybe they were like, well, let's put this and get a temperature of the room kind of thing, and then we'll see if any of these landed, and if they didn't, we'll figure out when we show the Horizon game or show Factions or whatever the case may be.
That's interesting, but it sucks because we just didn't get any gameplay to go alongside the reveals, and any additional information that we did get, it was on the PlayStation blog instead of doing like a very short little discussion of what the game's going to be about versus nothing. We got the CGI trailers, and that was pretty much it. So the strategy,
Well, the bad news obviously is we didn't get a lot there was like a lot that wasn't shown that we were hoping would be shown, but at least from a third party perspective, the show wasn't bad. They showed off Metal Gear Solid, but of course, we know it's multi-platform. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 will include the original Metal Gear 1 and 2, along with the Solid trilogy, with Konami telling fans to stay tuned for more information regarding additional content. Are you guys a Metal Gear Solid fan at all? Triple?
Yeah, played one, been a while though, but I played 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit of Peace Walker. Never beat Peace Walker. I did beat and finish 5 as well, so I would consider myself a Metal Gear Solid fan. I never played the original Metal Gear, if I recall. Those were on the SNES, if anyone can correct me on that one. I do have the Metal Gear Solid Snake, was it the Legacy Collection on the PS3, if I'm recalling the name correctly. I never popped it open, so I still never played those games. But yeah, I'm a pretty big Metal Gear Solid fan.
So is this collection something that you're wanting to pick up?
Admittedly, probably not.
Because you already own them, I guess?
Yeah, like I said, I have the PS3 version that has pretty much all of them except for 5 and something else. So not entirely. And but to see that they're doing something with the IP is always nice to see. But I am definitely curious to see what's their approach with Delta. Again, I'm kind of surprised we got like a reveal and no type of gameplay, but then we got screenshots of it later. So some of their strategy is kind of confusing, but seeing the franchise coming back is definitely nice, especially after the last time we got like the was a Metal Gear Pachinko trailer.
Yeah.
Hurt my soul. And I'm curious on, since they're starting with 3 or Delta, if they're going to remake it by going through the story and sequence. So 3, then we'll probably get 1, 2, or Peace Walker. So really curious to see how they're going to approach this one. But yeah, happy to see they're doing something with the IP that's not a pachinko machine. So
right, I agree. Fuzzy, are you a Metal Gear Solid fan? Are you interested in picking up this collection at all?
Interested in picking it up, but I've never played them. Like I've always meant to play, starting probably with 5, because that one seems more of like my kind of go-to as far as being an open world, and stealth type mechanics. But I've been busy playing so many of the live service games like Division, like Destiny during the time frame when 5 came out, and never really bothered with those back in the day. But it's cool to it's cool to see them getting a kind of like a reboot or a redo or remake on them. Hopefully these land well, and we'll get all of them in updated visuals and things like that, because I think they're going to keep the audio, but I think that is probably fine. Just update the visuals.
Right. BMG, what are your thoughts on the Metal Gear Solid collection? Are you a fan of the franchise, or is it something that you're really not interested in?
BMG, are you there?
I think he stepped away from the desk. That's all good. That's all good.
Oh no, I'm a big fan of Metal Gear. Played them all, enjoyed them
10-second delay. 10-second
I
delay.
like this collection.
Oh, man.
I'll be picking it up. I'll be picking up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was only a 10-second delay.
I think. Yeah, I think it's my internet playing up. I've got about 12 people in the house on the Wi-Fi, so children would have them.
Start kicking them off.
But yeah, Metal Gear wise, oh, hang on. Let me jump out and jump back in. You just carry on. I'll jump back out and jump back in.
All right, that'll work. Yeah, Fuzzy, if you haven't ever played them before, I will say the older Metal Gears are much more linear, I guess.
Yep.
So if you start with Metal Gear Solid 5 and you go backwards, it's going to be harder to complete the older ones just because they're much more restricting.
Okay.
So, I you know what? I played Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4. I played, of course, Ground Zero's Metal Gear Solid 5. It's just a different type of game.
Ground Zero was great.
You know, it kind of feels, and I'm sure Triple will agree with me, but Metal Gear Solid 5 almost feels it feels more leaning like towards a Call of Duty type of game.
It still had the stealth sections, but as you're exploring the open world, well,
Yeah.
let me put it this way: they gave you a lot more freedom to approach differently, so you could go a bit more guns blazing if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But whereas in the original, the older games, you're really pushing more towards stealth. Not saying that you can't, have guns blazing, but you probably shouldn't at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So would you say that in that respect, the older Metal Gears are more like Siphon Filter, where it kind of discourages open combat?
Yeah, definitely.
Or not Siphon Filter. I'm thinking of Splinter Cell. My bad. Splinter Cell.
Yeah, definitely. Those were the two that were always being compared side by side. I remember being growing up. It's like, which one's the better stealth guy, Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid or Snake and Selfisher? So definitely more stealthy. And since it's not open world, I feel like the story is definitely a lot more. Well, it's your traditional storytelling, mission by mission. Whereas with Metal Gear Solid 5, since it was open world, maybe it's just the way I approached it. It definitely felt a bit more disjointed since you're kind of just like exploring different locations, and it didn't flow as well as I liked with the original or with the previous titles. So.
Well, in Metal Gear Solid 5, Kojima didn't even get a chance to finish it.
There's that too. Like there's a whole section that was cut out. At least a lot of cutscenes. Did you ever see those cutscenes, Sentinel?
I saw some of them, but some of them were just in concept only. They hadn't even gone to full production on them. Yeah,
there was some concept art, and then they were animated, but missing all the details of animation. It was just purely.
I kind of remember that aspect, like when they ushered him out of the building, kind of thing. That just thought it was like the weirdest thing. The game's not finished, but you're going to take the main guy.
Well, yeah, because Konami was tired with how they were pissed off with how long it was taking. And keep in mind, prior to this, there weren't really any Metal Gear Solids that were open world. Kojima had said when he saw Grand Theft Auto 5, it actually made him extremely depressed because of how detailed it was. So, and it's kind of like he was having to learn how to make a huge open world game because he wasn't really familiar with it. Yeah. I mean, love it or hate it, Death Stranding, I think, you could see that he started to really understand how to make a quality open world.
Yeah.
A lot of that happened with Metal Gear Solid 5, but it was a very painful process, and it got so bad between Kojima and Konami that Konami was actually restricting Kojima and his staff to certain areas of the building, and it was tons of stuff. It was ridiculous,
Yeah, I still remember when he got the award at the Game Awards, and he wasn't able to go and claim his award. Like Konami, I think Konami kind of like banned him from showing up at the Game Awards. I think.
Yeah.
Correctly. So
Jeff Keighley was pissed about that too. Because him and Kojima are like BFFs. So when his best friend got banned from even accepting his award because Konami had some type of clause where he couldn't go and accept an award, so it was a hell of a slight. I see BMG is back. Everyone, hey BMG, yay, you're back.
Where's the applause button?
Am I working now? Does that sound better?
Yes. Sure. No 10-second delay this time. Outstanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's my
BMG,
internet. It's like things are loading where they shouldn't be.
now that you're here, are you a fan of Metal Gear Solid? Are you looking forward to picking up this collection?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, big fan of the series, played all the games. I like that they're starting with Snake Eater and they've named the remake Delta because
Yeah.
they're doing different. There's still no word yet if David Hayter will be reprising his role. They've been a bit sketchy on that. If you go onto his Twitter, there's no mention of it anywhere. So I'm hoping he's in it. And I'm hoping he's actually playing Snake again, but obviously we won't know
I
until.
think I heard somewhere that it was confirmed that they got the original cast for Snake Eater.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. But I'm looking forward to it. I will be picking it up. I'll be picking up the collection as well to play the original Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. I think the first one was it not Game Boy? Metal Gear 1.
No, it was probably on the NES or the Super NES.
I thought Metal Gear 2 was that, or it might be Metal Gear 1 was the Nintendo and then 2 was Super Nintendo. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played them games.
So I want to ask this question right quick. Did anybody have the theme song for Metal Gear Solid 3 on their computer?
Snake Eater. Oh, yeah. Well, I love that song.
I had it on my computer for a while. I actually downloaded it. It was like my startup theme for my computer for a while, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good song. Me and my friend do a terrible job singing it.
Yeah, it's a great song though, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I know Fuzzy probably sings it at karaoke every Saturday night. Yeah.
But they did say because a bit more information came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday that the Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 in the collection are the games as they were originally released, just with updated controls. So they're not getting the Metal Gear Solid 1 will just look like Metal Gear Solid 1, which you played back in the 90s, just with modern controls.
Yeah.
That could obviously change down the line if they decide to remake them, which they're open to doing if need be. They have said Kojima isn't a part of this at all. He's having no hands on it. And it's the something to do with Konami's game dev team or something along them lines that are actually working on it. So still pick it up. I'm still looking forward to it. And can't wait for the collection. It's, again, another day one buy for me.
Nice. Yeah, the same. I like I like the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Ever since Metal Gear Solid 2, I played it on the PS2, and I've pretty much I had Peace Walker, I think. I remember playing Peace Walker, but I don't think I ever completed it. I believe I had it on the PSP. That was the original console it released on, right?
Yeah, PSP, yeah.
Yeah, because my kids had PSPs back in the day, so I played Peace Walker on the PSP. But it's a great franchise. Yes, the storyline is a little convoluted and it doesn't make much sense, but it's a great franchise. And you know what? I want to say that I'm going to pick up this collection, even though I already have the Xbox 360 version of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. I'm probably still going to pick this up just because of the quality of life improvements. You know what I'm talking about? Like how they fixed the control scheme. Because back then, you didn't have the control schemes we have now. So the way the controls were back then, that's all you knew essentially. But, with the quality of life improvements, I think it's going to be a must play. And I think a lot of people, once they play it, it's going to be hard for them to go back to the originals, just because of the controller changes and fixing camera angles and all that other stuff. Something else I want to see about Metal Gear Solid 3 is I want to see if they change the layout of these levels. That's something I'm wondering about, because Metal Gear Solid 5 changed it completely, so I want to see if they open them up a little more or if they just keep it exactly how it was. That's something I'm kind of curious about.
I am too. Because I'm trying to understand if we're getting like a full-fledged remake or just upgraded visuals similar to like The Last of Us. I know people say that's a remake as well, but when I think remakes, I'm thinking closer on the lines of like Resident Evil 2 or something where they overhaul key points in the game. Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, that's remake, sticking to the story, but everything is a few changes, but everything looks better. But the collection are just the original games with modernized control system.
Okay, better resolution. Everything.
No more
Gotcha.
D-pad. No D-pad to play Metal Gear Solid 1 in.
Right.
I am really curious to see if they do anything with Metal Gear Solid 4. That's the odd one in a bunch that's tied
That's
to the
trapped.
PS3.
Yeah.
So,
Trapped. For now.
do something. I got it to run on my PC. You guys can get something to think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Interested in seeing what they do with it, you know. And it's, like I said, the show was great for multiplats. For other projects that PlayStation gamers were looking forward to, it wasn't necessarily as great, especially the Naughty Dog multiplayer. What was it called? Factions.
Yeah.
It's like they scaled it back. Naughty Dog says, hey, we're still working on it, but they had Bungie go in and they essentially assessed it and said, hey, you know what, this may not be able to engage people long term. And I guess that's what they're looking for. And because of their assessment, they scaled it back and they delayed it, and we don't really know when it's coming. We just know that they're still working on it. Triple, was Factions something that you were looking forward to playing?
Yeah. Firstly, just loving being a fan of the Last of Us universe. I wanted to mainly from a story perspective, I was kind of iffy about, but overall, really loved the franchise. I played a little bit of Factions on the original PS3. I say a little bit because during that era, my multiplayer time was spent way more in Halo and Gears.
Yeah.
But the bit that I did play, I really did enjoy. But what I was really looking forward to, and I kind of hope they do, is that there's a PvE component. Because personally, these days, I don't play too much PvP. My skills have deteriorated quite well. So I'm looking more for a PvE experience.
Yeah.
And since they're speaking about branching, like the game is way bigger in scope, because a lot of people thought we were just going to get an improved Factions from number one when Last of Us 2 was releasing, but since they're selling it as a standalone product, then I'm hoping for just a lot more expansive, not only a PvP experience, but also a PvE.
Yeah.
So hearing that they're scaling it back in one way or another, I hope there's a PvE component if it was there to begin with. But not seeing it at the showcase was definitely a disappointment, because we've gotten names and concept art, but we still just haven't seen it in action yet.
Yeah.
So, and my biggest, what can I say? One thing I've just always wanted, having played a lot of Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries and Horde mode back in Gears of War, that's what I was looking forward to, some type of survival wave-based factions. And also maybe if we're going to get having this news now, probably not, but if it's going to be a Division-ish style of multiplayer.
Yeah.
So it's just, I have a lot of questions, and I hate hearing the news that things aren't going as well, and I hate that we didn't get to see it. So it's just going to be a longer wait until something finally is shown. So
Right. Yeah, Fuzzy, what do you think about the delay? Are you a big fan of the Naughty Dog games like The Last of Us?
I haven't played them as much as I would like, but my sons have, and they were big fans of the original Factions on the PS3, and the same thing with Uncharted's multiplayer. So even though, Bungie undoubtedly has one of the best, first-person shooter live service type games, I still feel that they probably should have shown it, or at least leave it up to the fans in like an early beta test, see if there's feedback to it. Because I kind of expected Factions, especially when they said it was going to be expanded beyond just being a redo or update of the original Factions. I was expecting kind of like what Triple said, almost like a Division style, or even better, like an actual deliverable version of the day before, but with clickers instead of the zombies or whatever were in that game type of thing, where you would have base building or PvE missions where you have to go and get resources and or communicate between different locations or bases and stuff like that. Like that to me would have made sense, and probably not knocking Bungie, but Sony probably should have said, well, we'll leave it up to the fans to decide, or something to that effect. I mean, I understand there's a lot of money that's got to be invested in it, but it just seems like the concept of that game in a multiplayer or live service setup, it's perfect, because look at how well Division's been doing, even though it's not doing anywhere near as good as Destiny, but that's with minimal effort and supply. I won't say minimal effort, but minimal support from Ubisoft. It seems like they've let Division 2 out there to die with no content for almost a year straight twice. And the game is still around and still has, an avid, daily player base. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I was hoping it would be there. Sometimes listening to the experts that you bought for them to be the experts may not have been the best decision, or at least I don't feel it would have been the best decision in this case, because leave it up to Bungie, they'd probably say, oh, we'll kill Division and, kill all other games except for Destiny. I don't know. Yeah. It just feels weird. That's all I got.
Yeah, I would love to see a PvE in factions, and it's like the fact that this got scaled back, it almost seems like Bungie is kind of like Sony's or PlayStation's version of id Software, where if there's problems, they have them go in to address those problems. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't know if Bungie has hands on any of these games. Their game is essentially a multiplayer PvPvE, essentially. It's a huge open world live service kind of thing with Destiny. Open areas. But it's like they're experts at this, so it kind of feels like PlayStation is having them go in and evaluate not just maybe the factions, but other games that might lean on this type of game as well. And it's kind of disheartening. I mean, it's great that they caught these problems before launch, but it's disheartening that there were enough problems that one of PlayStation's best studios, for some people they consider it their best studio, had so many issues with this that they had to scale it back and delay it. And it's like the game that it was supposed to be coupled with came out in 2020 on last generation consoles, and it's 3 years later, and we still don't have a solid release date for this, so that's troubling. I hope that they can eventually get this in solid fighting shape, get it out the door, but at this point, I'm afraid that they're just going to cancel it altogether and say, "Hey, you know what? We're sorry."
Don't say that.
I know. I don't want to.
Oh, no.
I don't want to. But I feel like I kind of feel like that's the elephant in the room that no one really wants to address.
It's and was Jason Schreier said that they removed some talent from the team to work on other projects too, so the team got downsized as well. So
that's not good. Because you need as much talent. If you're having problems with a project, you need to put more talent into it, not take that talent and put it on other projects. Because if you're doing that and you're taking it away from one project that's having trouble, I mean, it's almost to the point where the writing's on the wall as far as the fate of that project. Yeah, it's rough.
That would be a huge disappointment. They came out and say, "Yeah, we're canceling it," because it's. Knowing that we didn't get a multiplayer experience when The Last of Us 2 ship was kind of annoying, for least way of saying it, and then knowing that after so long of a potential standalone experience is canned would be just horrible to hear. Honestly, like a better way of saying it. So I don't know. Maybe the downsides of talent could be that, because again, it is a lot of speculation in terms of what the issues were. Because the downsides could be the few people that are left, don't know how many people in total, could be enough to fix those problems that Bungie had. So there's multiple ways of looking at it, and you could just say this is me trying to find the light somewhere, so I don't have to worry about getting news that was delayed. But it's just so many questions as to the state of the game. So don't even know when. We haven't even gotten a window or anything like that. So it's.
BMG, your uncle is running PlayStation. What do you have to say for yourself?
All hail Sir Jim. We all love Jim Ryan. If it wasn't for Jim Ryan, there would be no PlayStation. That's all I can say, really.
You know what? It's like when he gave that speech at the end of the showcase. I don't even think he knew what day of the week it was. I'm just saying.
Well, he knows how to run a gaming division better than Xbox.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
Wow.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we have seen, PlayStation just have to show up and they've won it.
Right. Well, unless they don't show up, I mean,
No, I think he's still living off of Layden's groundwork.
Yeah.
No one likes Layden. God,
Yeah,
Layden.
you know what? That's exactly right, Fuzzy. And I say that all the time. Sean Layden was great for PlayStation. Jim Ryan, not so much.
Sean Layden
yeah.
took one look when it came to PlayStation 5 and thought, I can't handle this. I'm not good enough. I'm not man enough. We need to hand it to someone who can take this business into the stratosphere. And Sir Jim took center stage and hasn't failed us yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you consider the last showcase a failure, then, you know.
I don't. This is it. I understand the disappointment, and myself, I'm disappointed in many things that we didn't see what we all hoping to see. But PlayStation didn't want to say expect this, expect that. They didn't hype it up to this big thing. We've done that as an audience.
That's true.
When it's just they had to understand the type of expectation when you put up PlayStation Showcase versus
agreed.
State of Play. But yeah,
I completely agree. We ourselves expect this because we've seen it before, and we assume this is what we'd get again. So, for what they showed was absolutely brilliant. The games they showed was amazing. I was disappointed we only got CGI from the PlayStation stuff itself, and I do believe stuff was held back, possibly for a later show, but. Really, should have been the show where we would see it. But and now we can do now. That's all done and dusted. With factions, Bungie, they have been at that point when they first released Destiny 2, and Triple, you'll probably agree with me. It was an awful game. When that game launched,
oh no,
who would have thought it would have survived this far along? It was content bare. There was nothing, was there? There was nothing.
Oh no, it was the content drought coming from Destiny 1 after they had the the Season of Triumphs or something like that, and then Destiny 2 and the changes to the multiplayer. I'm not going to break down the whole thing, BMG. You know.
Oh yeah. I try and block it out, but yeah, I know. But it was awful, and it was a full price game. And I think everyone in the community of Destiny took straight to the socials. What is this shit? Where's the game? Where's everything you've just built from Destiny 1 with the amazing Taken King? Still today, to me, is one of the best expansions they ever released. I really enjoyed Taken King. Introduced a lot of new things. And then we got Destiny 2, and it was like, what's this?
Primary weapons? What do you mean?
Yeah. But they learned, they listened, they adapted, they changed. Yes, there was with Activision, and there was a lot of things going on there, but they overcome it. They learn from things, and they know how to do a live service game, how to keep the players engaged, how to keep coming back week after week to do your weekly content, your daily content, your seasonal content. And as I've said before, Destiny is at that point now with what they've introduced that there is never nothing to do. There is always something to work towards. There is always something to earn. It's the only game I know where you can complete accolades and actually be able to get special links sent to you via email to buy the physical item for what you've earned in game. It's you can, if you're world first in doing a raid, you get actual title belts, you get interviewed. They know how to keep an audience. They know how to bring people in, and like I say, factions. It's part of Sony now, and Naughty Dog was right to bring them to have a look and see what they've got. How it'll work longevity in the game, where this game is now, factions is now, how would that look? People still playing it 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and Bungie have come in and said we don't think it would last long. So yeah, delay it, make changes, do things differently, because last thing we want, as much as we all want to play it, we want to play a successful complete game instead of something that we're only going to play for a couple of months at the most and go, yeah, you know what, there's nothing new here. So take as much time as they need. Naughty Dog, we had factions, we had I can't remember the name of the tie-in for multiplayer for Uncharted. I can't remember the name of that.
The multiplayer didn't really have a specific title. It's just their multiplayer with different game modes and co-op activities.
But yeah, it was more of a spin-off thing as an add-on to the what they mainly do is big cinematic one player
Third
big
party
games. Yeah,
over shoulder.
yeah, over the shoulder, third person over the shoulder games with these big, huge set pieces and very story driven, and that is what they do. So this factions turning it into a standalone game that is part of their live service, one of their live service games. It's got to stack up. It's got to have a place in within the big, huge other live service games, and it's got to be something that's going to keep going for a long time. There's no reason why would you release something for whatever scale they went for originally and it not going to last long, because it might be brilliant when it first comes out, but fans will quickly soon find the limits of that game and how much it's got and fall off it as you do. If you don't, the things with a live service, you've got to have something to keep pulling people in. So I think it's good that Bungie came in, looked and said this isn't going to last long, and now Naughty Dog can go back and say, right, because obviously we only know bits, obviously, but maybe they've been given a load of stuff from Bungie to say, right, we need to somehow incorporate this. We need to cut this back, scale that back, increase this, increase that, change this. And it's going to take time. But there's a chance we may get a teaser at Summer Games Fest or Game Awards later this year, because that's where Factions was first shown off at the Game Awards last year. Or you had Troy Baker on stage and talking about it alongside Last of Us Part 1 remake. But maybe another year down the line, we'll get more information, maybe later this year. But these things take time. Sony is a big company, just as like Microsoft and Nintendo and things. And they can't just change the direction of the ship and change things quickly. It's a slow moving, time taking thing. And but it's just going to be, we're just going to have to wait and see. But they'll want to put out the best product they can. And we're assuming it's going to be a full price game. Maybe it's going to have a bit of a single player element as well as PvE, PvP element in it. It's we'll just have to wait and see. That's all we can do. It's sad when a game gets delayed and it's disappointing, but it's better a game be delayed and come out better than be released and get criticized and dropped as quick as it was picked up. People might complain about a delay, but if that game comes out and it hits, people are going to forget the delay. They're just going to see what a good game it was. Did work for Microsoft, delaying Redfall a year, and that comes out and it was bad. But
yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, while Naughty Dog is having problems, Sony Santa Monica is not, and they are hiring for what appears to be their next God of War game. I guess Ragnarok's sequel. A job listing on the Sony Santa Monica studio website indicates a new entry in the God of War franchise may be starting development. The team behind the God of War franchise is seemingly on the hunt for people to help create the next entry in the franchise. Sony Santa Monica, wholly owned subsidiary of Sony, released God of War in November 2022, capping off the story started in 2018. Although it missed out on the coveted Game of the Year award to Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok was a critical hit when it hit shelves for PS4 and PS5. Praise was levied at the rich narrative, distinct characters, and engaging combat. Now it seems they are wanting to quickly build on that success by beginning the recruitment process for what is expected to be the next entry in a franchise that started on the PS2. Triple, are you a fan of God of War, and do you think, or are you looking forward to the sequel to God of War Ragnarok?
I've played all the mainline entries, including Ascension. I think the only PSP entry I played was Chains of Olympus, and obviously 2018 at Ragnarok. So I am a fan of God of War. With Ragnarok, I thought Ragnarok was a pretty good game. I think the way I described when I was speaking to my friends is that I prefer 2018's approach to the story versus Ragnarok's gameplay was better. But there was just some story beats and decisions that they made that were kind of questionable for me, that I didn't leave it or like the story too much. Not to say it was terrible, but there's this decision I was like, I prefer 2018. But without going to spoilers, I'm really curious as to where they can go with the story. I'm thinking of a few in my mind right now, but not to go into details if no one's finished the game. So,
Right.
are they going to stick with the current realms, or are we going to do some realm hopping or anything like that? So, I'm curious to see where it goes. Always interested in new God of Wars as what they did with 2018 from the original trilogy is adding new ways to make it feel fresh and new. So hopefully that's the main thing that they bring out. But a new entry, I really want to see where they go with it. I've always wanted to see if they take on different mythologies would be kind of cool. But if they stick with the current realm, let's see. After Ragnarok's ending, not sure how that would play out. But yeah.
Right. Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on this news that they're starting on a new God of War game? Are you a fan of the franchise, and are you looking forward to a sequel to Ragnarok?
Yes, but like I haven't finished Ragnarok yet, so I'm kind of wondering with what Triple was saying if it's something where it might have to be like a reboot or something to that effect. Like big fan of 2018. Um, I almost want to see Sony Santa Monica do a different IP, just kind of mix things up. Um, Plenty of talent over there, so if they wanted to try their hands at something, other than God of War, then that would be awesome to see what that would look like. But if they want to do a trilogy or round it off where after 2018, do a third entry into the series, I I would be all for it. It's just a matter of, I guess, now kind of sound like something's kind of finalized in Ragnarok where
Right.
Don't read into it. I'll say that much, but stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, there's got to be something like and that was one of the things I was kind of afraid of with Ragnarok. Is it going to be? And I haven't played it, so I don't want to preface this with spoilers because I have no idea if this is what happens. But I always kind of wonder: is the next God of War going to be where Atreus or something like that winds up being the main character or something along those lines type of deal? But I don't know. I would love to see a third installment, but yeah, prefer new IP, but if they do a third one, all for it as well.
Yeah, well, we know Corey Barlog, he didn't direct God of War Ragnarok, and he's actually working on a new IP at Santa Monica, which is probably going to be, obviously, it's going to be the next game from that studio. I know he's put a couple of teases out there. But yeah, it's hard to talk about a sequel to God of War Ragnarok without spoiling anything, but we do know from what was already told to us, it was a 2-game version, wasn't it? It was in that realm, the Norse mythology. It was a 2-game thing, and the way Ragnarok ended kind of cements that. And I'm not going to say what the ending was, but you sort of see something at the end which may or may not glimpse into the future of what a game could be. It's kind of open to interpretation, I would say, but I definitely think we're gonna see two. I think you're gonna have your mainline God of War, where you Kratos, and we're going to be going somewhere different, completely different. Where that could be, I don't know, but maybe we go back. Maybe we go to like Roman times or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell from what we saw, and I don't want to say what we saw because I don't want to spoil it. But and then again, it's open to interpretation of what you think or where that could be. But I think we might go a bit of the route that Insomniac did. You got your mainline Spider-Man, and then you got a smaller side game which ties into the main game in Miles Morales. I think we're going to see a game where maybe we're just Atreus, or maybe what was other stuff that happened in between the two games with Atreus, maybe a bit different, but ties into the main story, which is a possibility. But they were always going to carry on God of War. I don't think it's something that we're ever going to put to rest, but it's going to be 5-6 years before we get anything. Might get a tease in 3 or 4 years' time from them to see what they're actually doing. But personally, I sort of agree where maybe another new IP, give God of War a rest. It's they've kind of milked it right across all the previous consoles. Maybe it's time to give it a rest and do something different, come up with new stories, a new game, and doing something different, and then come back to God of War after that, maybe. But I suppose it's going to be a wait and see. But it's not a surprise they're ramping up to start things, but also I'm also excited to see what Cory Barlog's doing, because it's sort of get the feeling it's something to do with space. So maybe we're going to get a new sci-fi game, which would be quite cool, because Corey's very good at the way he writes and directs games. So something in space, single player, cinematic adventure, maybe. That'll be quite interesting. Did any of you two see the teases that he put on his Twitter?
A while ago.
I haven't actually. I just keep remembering the memes where he kept saying never heard about it. That's pretty much about it.
Yeah, it was like because it's something to do with he changed his I can't. Sorry, my phone's not working. He changed his banner and that, and like he was putting like, I wouldn't say Morse code, but some sort of code on, which seemed to be a bit of a tease.
Mm-hmm.
Which we knew he was working on a new game, we just didn't know what he was working on. So maybe we get a bit more of an announcement of that this year, because he started working on that before, or just as God of War Ragnarok was going into production. So he was working alongside whatever they're doing. So maybe it's something that'll be ready for next year. Get a tease later this year, or a trailer later this year with a release, some early next year, maybe, because as it stands, even now after the PlayStation Showcase, the only first-party game we've got coming out this year is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
So it's what follows that. If that is going to be their game for the year, they're not having anything else in the holiday, I would expect them to have another first-party game early next year, possibly.
Yeah. I think, I think these rumors about there being a second showcase, they have to be legitimate. If there's all this content and all these games that they wanted to show off but they didn't, I would guarantee almost that they're going to have a showcase probably before the end of the summer, maybe in August. Yeah. That would be my guess. Where they show off a lot of the games that they didn't get a chance to show off at the showcase, they're going to show off at the end of the summer showcase.
Yeah. And just to say, because obviously VJ's just put there in chat, Final Fantasy 16. Yes, it's not first party, but it is a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah. So that's my bad. I did forget that. We do have Final Fantasy 16 coming out really soon. June, is it?
Yeah.
June.
Or later next month.
And I feel like because of the PSVR thing, PSVR 2, PlayStation right now is having to walk a really fine line, because you can pump out all the games you want for PSVR 2, but the gamers that aren't into VR, they're going to be like, well, what about us? And right now, the only two big games you got are the Spider-Man and Final Fantasy. So they need to show the gamers that aren't into VR, hey, this is for you as well,
Yeah. It's hard. I hope there's another event this year and we're going to see more. Just mainly, it was nice to see third party and indie games that are coming, whether the platform or not. It was nice to see things that were coming.
Well, something strange I want to point out is we know about the Naughty Dog issues, right? But Naughty Dog has been for years working on something called Stray Cross. It was supposed to be a sci-fi game. And they've been pretty quiet about it. So I'm wondering if the reason why they were taking people from factions was to work on this Stray Cross game that they're trying to get out either this year or next year, because it's been a few years since they've been working on this.
Well, they did say in that little
And
Twitter note that they were working on
the
a single player
release.
game. So
Yeah, and it was supposed to be single player. It was
Yeah,
supposed to be single player.
I don't know about this year, but as you said, Fuzzy, they did allude to working on another single player experience, so that could be the game that they were hinting towards.
And it feels like PlayStation they wanted to have something before the Xbox showcase, just something. And in my opinion, they didn't show enough. They didn't show enough first party. How about that? They didn't show enough first party. But I feel like they want to wait until after the Xbox showcase just to kind of see, they want to basically, like Fuzzy said before, and he mentioned this, taking the temperature. I think that's good as far as PlayStation goes, because PlayStation right now is coasting on the PS4 success. No one can deny this because the PS4 generation was really strong, So I kind of feel like they want to see, because pound for pound, PlayStation cannot put out the same amount of content Xbox can. They just can't, because they don't have a $1 trillion corporation backing them up. I mean, deny it or not, or be angry with it or whatever. If Microsoft tomorrow wanted to buy PlayStation or wanted to buy Sony, they have the money to do so. There's no denying that. But so they can't compete that way. So I kind of feel like they have these games they wanted to show off, but they want to wait until after the Xbox showcase so they see what they're truly competing against.
Then why not do a showcase after?
I mean, that was their tradition. They were always either hours after or a day after Xbox. Yeah. Like for all E3s, as far back as I can remember Xbox existing.
The Death Stranding. Remember the Death Stranding trailer they dropped? Like, what was it, within hours of an Xbox showing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
I know it's difficult. I know
it's just, if that is the reason, I just can't really agree to it or say that I'm a fan to it, because it's similar to how some people were saying after PlayStation Showcase, will Xbox hold back what they have to show now that they saw what PlayStation sent off? And I just hope that's not the case. Like, at least for me personally, I just want each of these companies to just put their best foot forward and not wait for the competition to see what they're going to do. Because as you said, Sentinel, like, PlayStation is so far ahead at the moment, I don't see why you would hold back to see what Xbox is going to have to do. Like, it's not like Xbox will whip up something in retaliation with what they had, and suddenly turn the tides, and now the sales are so much closer and everything else is so much closer. So the thought of them waiting to see what Xbox does, it makes sense at the launch of a console generation. If you guys remember the PS4 and the Xbox One and the whole used games thing, that makes sense to get a read of the fan base and how people would react to key announcements. But in this case, when it comes to just a game by game comparison or release, I don't know what you can gain from waiting. But if we get another showcase in the near future, that's great. But I just don't like the idea of knowing or the suggestion that they might have waited to show their full hand. So.
Well, and PlayStation, as great as their brands are, they're not really known for transparency. Now, with Xbox, a lot of what draws people to Xbox is their transparency. Phil Spencer will come out and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," but we don't really have that from PlayStation, and I kind of feel like that's sort of what set unrealistic expectations with this event, because PlayStation didn't say anything about it, and afterwards, that's kind of what contributed to the hysteria we saw on social media about it not meeting people's expectations. So it's like, they didn't necessarily produce or put at that show what we wanted, but that could be because they're just they're focused on a bigger event later, and we have no idea. And I agree with you, Triple. I'm not a fan of that either. I would rather just them show everything they have at one event rather than split it up into two.
Just to Fimber's comment saying speculate about this and that is just trying to find excuses for something most people didn't like. I can only speak for me personally. I didn't dislike the show. I was disappointed I didn't see more from PlayStation, but what they showed and the games that were there were really, really good. There were some really good games there, and I really did enjoy the show.
Foam stars.
Foam stars. NFTs, baby. NFTs.
You'll see what you're talking
We
about.
got Splatoon
Yeah,
at
pretty
home.
much. Yep.
Splatoon with foam. Well, yeah, I don't think it's not so much people didn't like the show because of what was there. They were just expecting more of a PlayStation presence in PlayStation Studios games. But the games that were shown, really, I did enjoy it. And what's that? BMG eats pineapple on pizza while rubbing Vaseline on his mouth.
Oh no.
He's been watching through my window again. Told you about that, Dazzy baby. Told you.
Right.
Okay. Okay, that threw me off. I am agreeing with the whole people are kind of speculating to make up or make sense of what happened, but that's why I'm just like, until I see confirmation of another show, I'm not gonna say, oh, it wasn't that bad. We'll get something cool later. Like I'm gonna view the show as it was, and as I initially saw it of a good show for third party, but not that great of a show for first party. And until new information comes out, even if new information comes out, I'm still gonna just say it's not a great show and just leave it at that personally.
Yeah, I'm a fan of just show all your cards now. Like if it would have been another 2016, hopes and dreams kind of showcase where we get a roadmap. We know that the Ghost of Tsushima 2 is in the works. Maybe an inkling of what Ben Studios is working on. Maybe the new IP that Cory Barlog is working on. That would have been awesome. And that would have, sufficed for quite some time. But I don't know. I had my own expectations. That show fell short of it. There's some cool games in there. I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is.
I think. Go ahead, BMG. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like in regards to like the Xbox showcase, this has kind of opened the door a bit for them now to look at what they did, the reaction from a lot of people, and maybe do something different. Literally come out right. People weren't happy with seeing next to no exclusive and CGI and most, 90% third party. Right, let's get a bit of third party, a bit of indie, but mainly exclusives and actually show the game. Whether you show a bit of a trailer, then the gameplay, a cinematic, whatever, that I'm all for that, but it's gameplay. That's the important thing. You can show someone CGI trailers all day long, but unless we actually see the game to see what potentially we're going to be playing, that's what we need. It's like I like what they did with Hellblade when they showed Hellblade 2 off, where you got that cinematic trailer bit that went straight into gameplay, and then people was like, and people were like, is it gameplay? Is this still just CGI? And then it's like, no, it's gameplay, but the way they transitioned into it, give me more of that. But I just want to see exclusives or games that we're going to be playing. Don't necessarily have to be just purely exclusive, because I know Xbox cross PC, some games are multi-platform, which is fine. I just come out and show me what I'm going to be playing, even if it's a little bit of a ways out. It'd be still nice to see what we're going to be playing. But I'm still looking forward to Xbox. I enjoyed the showcase last year. The bit that obviously they shouldn't have done is just saying these games are coming out in the next 12 months, and they didn't hit that. But had they not said that, I think people would have been happy with what they've seen.
Yeah, definitely. It's that mix of you want to be transparent with your audience and your player base, but there's an amount where you're being too transparent. Similar to how we say we want to see CGI trailers of what's in development at PlayStation, but we also got feedback of you're showing too much CGI. So it's balancing that act of how much you want to give to your player base and how much you want to withhold or how much you want to show off. And at least referencing back to the PlayStation showcase is that for things like Fair Games, Concord, and Marathon, it would have been nice to have gotten not a deep dive of gameplay, but we've seen trailers where they'll have the CGI, then maybe a 5-second or less snippet of some actual in-game footage. That would have been nice to see something, but just getting the CGI for those games and then PlayStation Block for more information was just so weird. So Yeah, this is great show nonetheless. But Dragon's Dogma 2, so I'm happy about that. So there we go.
Yeah.
I'm fine with CGI if the game is more than 2 years out, or if it's like its first appearance kind of thing. I agree. It would be nice if you see some gameplay, but like if the game is coming out within a year or two, gameplay should be the priority at that point, whether it's in engine, but preferably, on the console itself. I mean, or even on PC to, console specs or whatever. But if it's more than 2 years out, CGI, okay, at least for the first showing. The next showing, then you better do some gameplay, or at least some sort of like vertical slice type of thing.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, if it's a ways out, then first time showing, that's acceptable. But the next time you see it, you don't want to see a new CGI trailer. You want to see some gameplay, just that we know the game's actually real, not just keep seeing a new CGI trailer every year. It's
you don't want to be like Everwild with Xbox, where they like unveiled a CG trailer. It's like, so we have to get rid of it and start over because we didn't even know what the game was about. Like,
that was like a weird thing. Like, I kind of got a vibe from what they showed that it was going to be like, all right, you protect the animals in nature, and then every so often there's like this evil presence in the forest that you have to fight. That kind of could have probably worked, I guess, but I guess they were like, nope, that doesn't make a good gameplay loop. Just back to the drawing board kind of thing. So,
hearing that gives me Anthem vibes. How they put out that trailer and the developers were like, "Oh, that's a cool game on screen. What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's the game we're supposed to be making." And they're like, "What?"
Oh no, I remember that. Some of the developers understood what they were making once it was unveiled to everybody. I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, that's not good.
That is bad.
The flying mechanic in Anthem was like decided based on that trailer.
Like, yes. What? Yeah. And I would almost bet money that was the who was that? The guy that left EA, Patrick Soderlund. I'm sure that he was probably the one that said, "Oh yeah, we should just use that," because he seemed like that type of guy, Oh,
well, at least they can use it for the Iron Man game that they're working on. So.
Single player Iron Man, yes. As long as they don't use the flying mechanics from Marvel's Avengers, because those are horrible, and they use them instead from Anthem, that'll be solid.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll be nice. I believe, BMG, it is time for our game of 20 questions. Yay!
My game card with this one, aren't I?
Now, last week on XBL, unfortunately, we didn't do it. BMG was absent, and our host decided that we weren't going to do it without BMG because he's such an important part of our XBN network. So this week, we will continue. Winning streak just paused for a minute, but we're going to try to sustain it this week. If we guess the game that BMG is thinking about, we keep our winning streak. If we can't guess it after 20 questions, obviously we lose. So each one of us basically will rotate with one of us saying, hey, is it this type of game or is it that type of game? It can only be yes or no questions, essentially. So you could say, is it a first-person shooter? If it is that BMG is thinking about, he'll say yes or no. And we can use the private chat in StreamYard to communicate with each other to try to figure it out. So we have 20 questions. The 20th question has to be a guess of the game, once we've kind of narrowed it down, once we have an idea of what it is. But of course, if we run out of 20 questions, then we lose. Does anybody have any questions?
No, if I'm understanding correctly, we're guessing up to 20 times what the game should be, and the 20th question should be the title. Let's say.
Yeah, if you say a game and it's wrong, then you lose. But if you guess the game try and say the game at any point and it's wrong, you lose. You're not allowed to use the internet, your phones, Google, nothing. It's it's just a bit of fun. Got to use your gaming knowledge to figure this game out.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I don't have, after 7+ years of playing Destiny, my library is pretty limited.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I always try and pick a game that I think everybody would know. I wouldn't pick anything so obscure that it would be impossible to get. So we don't try and make it too hard.
No mobile games, no PC games. No PC only. No PC only because PC only has like 50,000 games. So we'd be sifting through them forever. So
yeah.
All right, I think,
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
And no
chat,
arcade games. No arcade games.
No,
if it's
no
only
arcade
arcade,
games.
you know.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
chat, help, feel free to ask some questions, help the panel out. But other than that, let the questioning begin.
I'll let. This is how we'll go. Triple, you'll go first. Then it'll be Fuzzy. Then myself, and we'll just keep rotating. I'll keep track of how many questions we ask and which questions we ask in the private chat, so you guys can keep an eye on it, so we're not asking the same questions over again.
Okay.
Okay. Is it a game from the PS4 generation?
No. Oh, just so you know as well, it won't be just like we don't just like pick exclusives. It could be cross-platform. It could be for any of the consoles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I said PS4 generation because I forget what number that was. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer's still no.
Okay.
So it's not PS4 or Xbox One. Okay, that's cool.
Okay. I'll start with one of the easier approaches. Is it a first-person shooter?
No.
Okay.
Is it a third-person shooter?
Yes.
Hmm.
But I will just a little bit of freebie. There's more than just shooting, so that's a bit of a freebie for you.
Okay.
So
There's a bit of
yeah,
melee in there as well.
that means it's like a third-person action game. Got it. Okay. Is it an exclusive to one platform?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to go, Fuzzy?
Are there vehicles you can drive?
I think so. Let me just double check.
Oh my god.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so just so you guys know, before he picked BioShock, that was one of his games, and he said it was an Xbox exclusive, and he completely threw us off because we're thinking Gears and Halo and all kinds of stuff. It took us forever to figure it out. It took us like 19 questions.
Oh no.
No BioShock games, please.
No BioShock.
So yes, the answer to what was it?
You can drive in vehicles. Okay.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
That's
Third
fine.
person. You can drive vehicles. Do you solve puzzles?
No.
So no puzzle solving. That's interesting.
No, I've just looked through. I can't see anything that mentions about puzzles, so I think it's definitely a no.
Okay.
Did it release before the PlayStation 3 generation?
Before the PlayStation 3 generation, technically yes.
So the game you're thinking about technically released before the PlayStation 3 generation.
It released before the PlayStation 3.
So it would have been on like PS2, original Xbox, backwards, right?
Right, it's more of a freebie for you because
I feel like it might.
console. There's a console that released nearly a year before the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I expect that. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Yeah, which would have been the Xbox 360.
So it's technically before
No,
the PlayStation 3 generation.
No, because the Xbox 360 is part of the PlayStation 3 generation.
Well, you've got that as a freebie.
It's how you, it's how you. I can see how BG can take that differently.
Well, I didn't say before the PS3. I said before the PS3 generation, and the Xbox 360 is part of the PS3 generation.
Leading up to.
Yeah.
So did it
So
release
you've got a bit of a
before
freebie
that
there.
generation? So
No.
okay, all right.
Okay.
If that's the parameters, then no. It released
Okay,
within
so
the
we-
PlayStation 3 generation.
Okay. So we have third person is a platform exclusive.
You can do
Can drive
vehicles.
vehicles. Go ahead, Fuzz.
Oh, I was going to say, is there a reload mechanic mini game?
Now, that is a very specific question. Jesus. No, not that I can see, no.
Okay. That removed one of the assumptions I had, one of my guesses.
Okay.
Man, I'm trying to think of other questions here.
Is it exclusive to the PlayStation platform?
No.
Okay.
Is it exclusive to the 360?
Yes. That's 10.
Okay. Trying to think of all the third-person shooters on 360.
All right, so exclusive to 360, in vehicles, third-person shooter.
You have melee in there as well. Don't forget the can do melee as well.
Can you, how should I word this? Are there dialogue choices when responding to NPCs?
No.
Okay, that was a good question, actually.
So that knocks out the other one that I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, shooter. Are there any RPG mechanics?
I don't think so. Let me just. Not that I can see, no.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I can see.
Okay.
I know this is kind of difficult.
Yeah. I would have said no to RPG.
Okay.
I think Sentinel, do you have a question ready?
I'm no. Feel free to go ahead.
All right. Is this or was this made by a first-party studio?
Wasn't made by a first-party studio. No.
Okay.
Not first.
I'll give you another little freebie. The studio is no longer in business.
Ooh.
Okay.
That might help a little, maybe.
Actually, I think that may kill me. I had an idea.
No, that's not it. That's not no longer in business. I'm trying to. Okay, so Xbox 360 exclusive, third-person shooter with some vehicle mechanics. I'm trying to think, and the studio's in, so that takes that out of the equation as well. Man, I am fuzzy. If you have any more questions, I'm currently stumped on a question right now.
Could always ask if it's part of a series.
Hold on, Fuzzy. I think I got an idea.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Sentinel.
Yeah, what we got? Lionhead? No.
Yeah,
There's no RPG mechanics there.
check out the private chat.
Oh, okay. Wait, no. I think it. Let me try this. I think it might be this, because that studio is kind of still around. I think. But
Wasn't that made by Capcom though?
That Capcom
Was probably their publisher. All right. Well, let me ask this.
We got 7 more questions.
All right. Does it involve zombies?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, then mine's completely gone.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna go with the suggestion, not the name, but are there gangs involved?
What do you mean by games? What do you mean?
Gangs, like
Gangs.
Like street gangs.
Gangs.
Street
I thought you said
gangs.
games.
Street gangs.
I wouldn't say street gangs, but you're definitely
Some type of
taking
faction.
people out to take more people out. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
I'm like super confused right now.
Okay.
You wouldn't.
okay,
you
okay,
wouldn't.
okay.
Oh.
You wouldn't see loads of gangs running around, but you're definitely taking out enemies to
Taking
achieve
out enemies. to achieve.
Taking out you would take out areas to get to the main boss.
Okay. I am stumped.
I'm
Okay.
kind of lost now as well.
Doesn't it? Okay, let's
Well-
just run by what we got. Doesn't involve zombies. Not made by a first-party studio. No RPG mechanics. It's exclusive through the 360. It is a third-person shooter.
Well, never mind. The thing I just said probably still has.
Wait.
First
Are there superpowers involved?
In a sense,
In a sense.
not like shooting lasers out your eyes or anything like that, but like strength. I suppose you would. That's 15. And I'll give you a little bit more of a clue because obviously it wasn't developed by a first party, but it was published by Microsoft. But the developer's no longer in business. And here's another freebie for you because obviously you've only got 5 questions left. It is part of a series.
Is it? Oh my god, I have the name of this game on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember because it's like you have superpowers, you have vehicles, you have shooting. It's the game that a lot of us, if ABK deal goes through.
Are you talking about? Let me put it in the chat room.
It is almost like a super power. Like
I put in the chat if you can see it. That's it.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Well, that was not. Oh, that was also on.
Yeah, the game that you mentioned, that was on PS3 also, and it actually came out right after Infamous, and Infamous stole a lot of its thunder. So I remember I did a YouTube video on it, so you know.
Okay. Maybe this might be too specific, but did the third release have a demolition mechanic that was eventually scrapped?
Yes.
There we go, boys.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's very specific. All right.
I'm putting the question in our chat so we can keep track of them.
I guess.
Okay, so is this the first in the franchise?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
It was 360.
The only other thing I could think of relates to another game, but do you guys have a better question or no?
I mean, it would narrow it down extremely.
Are you this? If you got another question, because that'll be our last question. But
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to ruin it, but I think this ties into what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Was this game a demo for, or on a demo disc for a major release game from that platform?
Oh, geez. Now you're asking the question I don't know.
I know that one too. You got to polish up on this. Come on, BMG. What's up?
I've got the information in front of me. I have got information in front of me, but I don't know if it was for a demo. But it was for you can count it as a freebie. It's for a game that was big for Microsoft.
Yeah,
It's like going to be one of them.
Okay. You know what it is.
Oh yeah. Yes. No, I've just found it. Yes, the answer to that question is yes.
So we know what it is.
Yep. You guys had it. Yep.
You've got one question and a guess.
Go ahead, Fuzzy. Fuzzy or Triple, whichever one wants to guess, because I think we know what it is.
Leave it to Triple.
I'm gonna guess and say it's Crackdown.
That is correct. Crackdown.
Yes. Outstanding.
Released in 2007. Nice. It was developed by Real Time World, which was a British studio, which is now out of business, published by Microsoft.
Yeah.
You do realize in Crackdown that you're fighting street gangs, right?
It's not, but it's not like street gangs. It's like,
this is what I'm talking about. Those are street gangs. You play as a police officer. You're fighting street gangs.
Did you get the game? You got the game.
And truth be told, you probably could to an extent RPG mechanics with leveling up your character.
There you go. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's going to be BioShock and Crackdown side by side now.
You've got the game.
Oh.
You've got the game, but well done. It was a close one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it. The streak continues.
See, if you would have told the truth about the street gangs, we wouldn't have had to go to 20 questions.
It's been a long time since I played that game.
Oh my God. Okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
We won though.
And, triple
Nice.
Triple had that around like shortly after Guest 15, I think it was. You guys
Yeah.
had
It was,
it.
I think it was Sentinel that tossed it in the group chat. Someone put it out there.
Because I was thinking, I was like,
Sentinel.
oh, what exclusives, third person? And I said, oh, what about Crackdown? Because I know it was an exclusive back then. You can't play it on anything else, so yeah.
Yeah, he called it around like the 10th question, I think.
Oh, well done.
The street gang thing threw us off. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's my bad. I've just found the section now that mentions about 4 different street gangs.
See, that's what I'm...
I didn't see it. That's my bad, but I helped you along anyway, so you still
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
You helped us a lot, yeah.
I appreciate it. The winning streak continues. I'm so happy that we were able to guess it. Thank you, Fuzzy and Triple, for helping us maintain that winning streak. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Nice. Well, you guys really did it. I was kind of like, wait, is it Dead Rising? Or is
Yeah,
it...
no, that was a good guess, though. That was a good guess.
See, if it's me, I usually ask, did it come out on August 7th at 10 p.m. on a
Yes,
Tuesday, on a
yes.
summer's day?
It's very
Yep.
I'm awful. We had, it was about three or 4 weeks ago we played, and it was me and Sentinel trying to guess Ash's game, and then Sentinel decided he had to go running down the street barefoot chasing his dog. And I literally burned through about 12 questions and I'm panicking. It's like, Sentinel, where are you?
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah.
Come back. What the fuck's going on? I was like, I'm sorry, Sentinel, sorry.
Yeah, he's like, was it an Xbox? Was it an OG Xbox game? No. Was it a Super Nintendo game? No. Was it a PlayStation 1 game? No. It was rough.
Yeah.
I panicked. Panicked.
You gotta do exactly what we did. Go by generation, so you're not asking for each individual platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The winning
I
streak
forget what
continues.
number
Nice.
we're on. Are we Gen 8
Yeah.
now? Or is it
Gen
Gen
9.
9?
I think we're Gen
9.
9. Yeah. Yep.
Now we
Very
just
nice.
need the Switch to catch up.
Oh, yeah, Nintendo's never catching up. They do their own thing.
I just wanted to at least be able to hold 30 FPS and not chug.
Yeah.
It's so okay.
Right? Yeah, tell me about it.
I had
Nintendo
this-
needs to join 60 frames per second. Let's go, Nintendo.
I had this weird prediction. They were going to ditch the whole Switch thing on the next go and then do like a almost like a MetaQuest VR headset.
Oh no. No, no. It's got to be made of cardboard too, isn't it?
Right.
The lab.
It might be. Shit. Nintendo does their own thing, so who knows, right?
I know they can't be going that bad off the rails, though. That would be wild. Dedicate that to a console. Oh no.
Thank you. Thanks, Triple Combo Gaming and Fuzzy Belvedere, for joining us for this episode. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who was in the chat. I know UK Daz is always here. Thimber's here. Paul AFC, thank you so much for checking us out. I think Luke Steele was here earlier. Pixel Slappa, Stubbs Gaming. VJ, thank you for joining us. In the chat, we greatly appreciate it. If I'm forgetting anyone, I apologize. Thank you, everyone who watched this. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this with someone else who may enjoy it. Triple Combo Gaming, do you want to tell our listeners where they can find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Triple Combo Gaming. I'm mostly active on Twitter because it's easier to type up something in a tweet than make a video. So
Yeah.
you can find me the most active there. And I do want to give my proper thanks if you guys bring me on board. Always enjoy just jump into a show and talk about games with people. So really enjoyed myself, especially that 20 questions.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Fuzzy, do you want to tell our listeners where they can find you at?
Sure. Oh, just want to thank you for having me on. It was fun being on here with you guys. 20 questions was a blast. Thanks for everybody in the chat. interacting with me. Sorry I didn't catch all the questions, but hopefully, just DM me on Twitter for Forza Night or something like that. For those that want to hear my endless rambles or rants on anything gaming related or on an occasional video clip or something like that, just follow me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on various podcasts on the following channels: Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick on Mondays and Fridays, on Fun Speculations channel on Mondays and Fridays, and on PTK Blam's channel on Saturdays. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again for having me.
Hold on a second. I think you're also going to be... Yeah, you're actually joining us for XBL this week, which is coming up Thursday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think... Did we say anything as far as showcase predictions or something like that? Is that...
That might be one of the topics. I have to look. But, yeah, if you guys enjoy hearing Fuzzy Belvedere, definitely... He'll be on XBL on Thursday as well on this channel, so definitely check it out.
Yeah.
BaldManGamer, BMG, do you want to tell people where they can find you, and do you want to talk about the Destiny podcast?
Yeah, well, you can. It's just easy. You can find me on Twitter at BaldManGamer. My PlayStation, Xbox handles are in there. Part of the XPN network on Twitter and on here, so you can find us here every Tuesday. PSN Party Podcast, 8:30 p.m. BST, and on Thursdays for the XBL Party Podcast at 8 p.m. BST. And usually try and do it every 2 weeks. I do the Destiny Party Podcast where we just talk all things Destiny, and I've had some interesting people on getting people's history of Destiny. I'm not quite sure if there's one this Sunday or not. It's all work permitting, but just keep an eye out on the socials for that one. But when we do next have a Destiny podcast, we'll be discussing the final shape, all screaming excitedly about Cade being back in some shape or form, which will be quite interesting to speculate on. So, just keep an eye on the socials, and we'll let you know who's on and times and everything else.
Nice.
If you got an extra spot, I would love to talk about the final shape and our boy Cade coming back. That would be fun.
Not a problem. I will reach out to you, Triple. Don't you worry.
Nice. I also wanted to give a shout out to TSWS Gaming, Ham Solo, and Back from the Dead. Thank you guys for checking out our podcast. We greatly appreciate it. As far as myself, SSG Sentinel on Twitter and Twitch, I live stream off and on, not really a steady schedule yet. I do have a lot of stuff going on with XPN. I'm on the PSN Party Podcast on Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. Central, and on the XBL Party Podcast, 2 p.m. Central. You can catch me there. I'm also doing different video reviews for ImaGhostbusterAsh. He's normally on our PSN Party Podcast, but he's on holiday for probably a couple weeks, maybe a month. So he's working behind the scenes right now. But you can find me on those podcasts. Also, you can check out my YouTube channel, SSG Sentinel. Again, thank you for everyone who checked it out. And if you did not hit that like button, please hit that like button. If you know someone that likes gaming podcasts, definitely share this with them. And if you have not subscribed to the XBN Network on YouTube, definitely do so. Now is the time. With that, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to our guests. And we are out of here. We will see you guys later.
All right. Take care, everybody.